It's a tie.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in Schaffrillas ranking history, we have a two-way tie.
What?
Brave and the Good Dinosaur are pretty much equally awful, and I cannot for the life of me determine which one is less awful. They both have advantages and disadvantages that even each other out. For example, Brave has a story. You know, that's something you can't really say about Good Dinosaur. But on the other hand, Good Dinosaur doesn't have a completely unlikable, obnoxious twat for a main protagonist.
But that's not saying much.
Seriously, I cannot stress enough how equally I dislike these two movies. I guess the most efficient way to break the tie is to ask whether I would rather be absolutely infuriated or bored out of my mind to no ends. Which, let's talk about these movies first. Both of them were the products of troubled productions, but Brave had far more insidious behind-the-scenes issues than Good Dinosaur. There's this excellent video by Licorice, I think, that I promoted a while back. It details everything that's wrong with this movie in excruciating detail, as well as its troubled development history. They fired the original director, Brenda Chapman, who, by the way, directed this one movie, you may have heard of it, it's called The Prince of Egypt. Yeah, they fired her, their first and currently only female director, because she wasn't falling in line with known degenerate John Lasseter. So they fired her and replaced her with this other guy who had no idea what the point of the story was.
Gender has nothing to do with this movie.
What the fuck are you talking about? There are plenty of stories where the main character's gender doesn't matter, but a story about a princess who's worried about getting married and losing her independence in a medieval kingdom is absolutely a gendered story, you dipshit. Whatever, this movie blows. Everything I said in my best animated feature ranking video still holds up. Merida is still the worst Disney princess and Pixar protagonist. The bear twist is still the dumbest shit imaginable. There's no intrigue, there's no good humor, there's no compelling storytelling. It's as bad as I remember. The whole time I rewatched this movie, I just wished I was watching How to Train Your Dragon instead. In fact, yeah, I'll probably just do that the next time I do a Pixar marathon. And I should also replace Cars 2 with something better as well. A movie that's better than Cars 2. Well, Rise of Skywalker it is. And now for The Good Dinosaur, the final installment of the Pixar movies that are worse than Ralph Breaks the Internet trilogy. Like I said, it's not inherently infuriating. Arlo is a bland, dopey, but not awful protagonist. His dog boy Spot is a less interesting version of Boo, but he's not awful either. They are perfectly serviceable protagonists that just happen to be stuck in a tech demo instead of a movie. Because that's all this movie is, a tech demo for amazing landscapes. There's no plot. What little plot there is has been directly copy-pasted from other, better animated movies. Arlo's dad dies because Lion King, but it's not like he died because of a malicious plot. No, it's because he went out hunting with his son in the middle of a fucking biblical storm, and he gets swept up by a water slide. Oops! Something that doesn't even kill Arlo later on in the movie. So really, this is the dumbest thing ever. I laughed out loud when he died. It adds nothing to the movie since Arlo is separated from the rest of his family 3 minutes later. The story would not change if you took out this supposedly big emotional moment, which is emblematic of this movie's god-awful writing and pacing. This moment only exists to give Arlo a reason to hate the dog boy, but then they get high together and all seems to be forgiven.
I have special eyes.
The rest of the movie is a boring series of vignettes with unmemorable characters and no structure whatsoever. I could watch a movie with a notoriously troubled production like Solo, a Star Wars story, and not really tell that production was troubled since the movie at least feels cohesive. But Good Dinosaur just screams troubled production in your face over and over again.
Over and over and over and over.
Like, it's clearly intended for little kids because of how childish and terrible the dinosaur designs are. But then the sexy Sam Elliott T-Rex tells this horrifyingly violent story about how he got maimed by a crocodile.
I bit one croc in half, tail whipped the other, and the last one, well, I drowned that croc in my own blood.
What is up with that? There's so much gratuitous violence in this baby movie, and you just have to ask, who were they making this for? And obviously, the worst thing about this movie is how thoroughly it wastes its premise on such a nothing story. Humans and dinosaurs coexisting, and this is what you do? You make the human a dog and you give us no reasons for this story to be about dinosaurs? Gee, thanks! So yeah, it's a complete and utter mess with very little to enjoy, and I think after bad-mouthing it in so many videos now, I should probably give it its own cinematic disaster review. I have a lot more to say. But the question for now is, Which is worse, Not So Brave or The Bad Dinosaur? I mean, I guess I could judge them by which one had the better scene. I liked the first 10 minutes of Brave enough, and the cult leader pterodactyl eating a squirrel alive was funny. But both of these movies have one great scene each in them. In Brave, we have that amazing moment where Merida defies her mother and shoots an arrow straight through another arrow. Badass. And in The Good Dinosaur, there's actually this really touching scene where Arlo and Dogboy tell each other what happened to their families without any words, just these little stick people. These two scenes managed to capture the magic of Pixar for but a fleeting moment, which is more than that fucking abomination Cars 2 could ever dream of doing. And if I had to pick the better moments, probably the scene in Good Dinosaur. There you go, that's my official ranking. Good Dinosaur is a smidge higher. I might change my mind next week, but that's where I'm at right now. Okay, bye!
All right, you cluckers.